If someone needs your answer right now, before you can breathe, read, think, ask a friend, or locate your poor little spine, you may not be in an emergency. You may be in a sales funnel wearing a human face. Lesson 9, the false urgency trap. This is when someone turns time into a weapon, not because the clock is actually burning, but because your calm thinking is inconvenient to their plan. Case File 1, the alarm clock. The message arrives with tiny fireworks. We need to talk now. Buy this now. Sign today. Reply before I change my mind. Notice the common ingredient, speed before clarity. False urgency works because the body is dramatic. Your nervous system hears a deadline and starts searching for danger. Suddenly, a normal choice feels like a trapdoor, and Dr. Wiggle has misplaced the tiny safety manual. The loop is simple: pressure, panic, compliance, relief, and then regret. The relief is the trick. When the pressure stops, your body says, "Thank goodness." But relief is not proof that the choice was good. Case File 2, the limited time offer. The sign says the door is closing, the cart is expiring, the price is vanishing into the fog. Sometimes that is marketing. Sometimes it is a small carnival cannon aimed at your judgment. Important little footnote: without the foot, not every deadline is manipulation. Taxes exist. Flights leave. Restaurants close. Real urgency explains itself. False urgency gets offended when you ask for detail. Case File 3, the hourglass. Watch what happens when someone says, "If you loved me, you would answer tonight." The sand is not measuring reality. It is measuring how fast they can move you away from your own standards. In dating, false urgency often arrives wearing perfume. Move faster, trust me faster, commit faster. Ignore the little unpaid bills in the basement of your intuition. The speed feels exciting because caution has not had time to put on pants. Case File 4, everyone is rushing around. Notice the spell. Movement creates meaning. Noise creates importance. A manipulator may not need a strong argument if they can make the room feel like a piano falling downstairs. Here is the diagnostic meter. The more they rush you, shame you, flatter you, and punish questions, the higher the pressure goes. By the time it reaches the red zone, you are not choosing. You are escaping discomfort. Case File 5, the paper on the table. Sign before you read it. Agree before you compare. Promise before you sleep on it. A rushed signature is often a confession written by someone else's stopwatch. The fastest way to detect false urgency is to ask what information is being kept away from you. What are the terms? What happens if I wait? Who benefits if I decide before I understand? Case File 6, the stopwatch. A timer can be useful for boiling eggs, athletic training, and dramatic cooking shows. It is less charming when attached to your boundaries, your money, or your future. Here is your first defense sentence. I do not make rushed decisions. Say it boringly. No courtroom speech. No moral essay. Just one sentence, like a small locked door with a very polite doorknob. Second sentence, if it is still good tomorrow, I will consider it tomorrow. This removes the smoke machine. A real opportunity can usually survive daylight. A fake opportunity melts like a nervous candle. Case File 7, the pressure gauge. When someone keeps increasing emotional pressure, stop arguing with the story and read the instrument. Your body is telling you the room is becoming unsafe for careful thought. Use the 3-clock test. Clock 1, what changes if I wait 24 hours? Clock 2, what information do I need? Clock 3. Who gets more power if I decide while anxious? Now watch their reaction when you delay. Healthy people may be disappointed, but they stay coherent. Manipulative people often escalate. They sulk, insult, panic, threaten, or suddenly become tragic theater curtains with shoes. At work, false urgency sounds like, I need this impossible thing by morning, and no, there is no priority list. The defense is not rebellion, it is clarification. What should I pause so this can happen? In families, false urgency sounds like, answer me now or you do not care. That is not communication. That is a doorbell glued to your nervous system. Caring does not require instant availability. In dating, the phrase is often, I need to know where this is going right now. A fair person can name their needs without trapping your answer in a tiny elevator. A fair conversation has exits. False urgency also feeds on fear of missing out. The fear says, if I wait, I lose. But many traps only work because they are offered as one-time miracles. A miracle with a countdown clock deserves suspicion. A key distinction, scarcity is not the same as value. A parking spot can be scarce. A sandwich can be scarce. A clown can be scarce, thank heavens. Scarcity only means there is less of something. It does not mean the thing is good for you. The shame clock is especially sneaky. It says a mature person would know already. A loyal person would answer already. A brave person would jump already. Translation: please do not think long enough to notice I am using shame as a steering wheel. Then there is the flattery clock. You are so smart, so brave, so different from everyone else, so clearly ready to decide in the next 8 seconds. Flattery can be a velvet glove on a very pushy hand. Sometimes nobody says hurry, they simply stare. The silence gets heavy. The pause becomes a countdown. You start filling the room with apologies and decisions just to stop the discomfort. That is still pressure. Look again at the old rush. Everyone moves, turns, leans, reacts. Your brain starts assuming something important must be happening. That is the lesson. Urgency is contagious. You can catch it from a room before you ever hear an argument. Money script, I need the full price, terms, and cancellation rules in writing before I decide. If the person says, you are making this complicated, smile gently. Money is already complicated. You are just turning the lights on. Friendship script, I care about you and I am not available for instant decisions. That sentence is useful because it refuses the false choice. You can care and still have a calendar. Very advanced technology calendars. Dating script. I like getting to know you, but I do not speed up commitment to calm someone else's anxiety. If that sentence scares them away, the sentence worked. It did not ruin the connection. It revealed the contract. Work script. I can do this quickly or I can do it carefully. Which one matters more here? That question forces urgency to become a trade-off. And a trade-off is much harder to manipulate than a fog machine with a briefcase. The evidence test is wonderfully annoying. Ask what evidence shows this must happen now, not what feeling, not what threat, not what dramatic violin. Evidence. A real deadline usually has receipts. A fake one has weather effects. The paper test, write the decision in one sentence. If you cannot write it clearly, you are not ready to choose. Confusion loves speed. Clarity likes a chair, a pencil, and a boring little lamp. This is why rushed agreements deserve a second look. A signature can be legal. A promise can be emotional. A yes can be social. But if the yes required panic to appear, the yes deserves an autopsy with tiny gloves. Watch your body signals: tight chest, hot face, shallow breathing, sudden desire to please, sudden fear of being bad. Those are not instructions. They are dashboard lights. A dashboard light says inspect. It does not say marry the mechanic. Good people can handle a slow yes. They can handle let me think. They can handle send me the details. They may not love waiting because no one loves waiting except perhaps a very philosophical mailbox, but they can handle it. A bad reaction to your pause is data. If they punish the delay, mock the question, or remove affection until you comply, they are not proving urgency. They are proving that your autonomy was the obstacle. The alarm can be useful. It can wake you up. But if every conversation becomes an alarm, your mind stops distinguishing danger from drama. That is how people train you to live in reaction mode. Build a recovery window. 10 minutes for small things. 24 hours for money, commitment, contracts, travel, and anything involving the phrase, trust me. Trust me is not paperwork. It is a foghorn in a tuxedo. Yes, emergencies exist. Health, safety, fire, immediate harm. If the stove is on fire, do not ask the stove to send terms in writing. But most manipulative urgency borrows the costume of emergency without the actual fire. After any rushed choice, do a tiny audit. Did I have enough information? Did I feel free to say no? Did the other person respect questions? If the answer is no, congratulations, you found a pattern wearing tap shoes. The stopwatch is the perfect symbol because it creates a game. Beat the clock, answer before the buzzer. Win by moving fast, but your life is not a game show, and the prize might be a subscription to regret. Practice on small things. Can you wait before answering a non-urgent text? Can you say, I will check and get back to you? Your nervous system learns boundaries by repetition, not by one heroic speech on a rainy rooftop. If someone leaves because you needed time to think, that hurts. But it also tells you something clean. They did not want your agreement. They wanted your surrender in a hurry with complimentary emotional confetti. So reframe the pause. A pause is not weakness. A pause is not rejection. A pause is a small room where your values can catch up with the noise. Protect that room. Put a tiny velvet rope outside it. Also remember the clean no. No, not today. No, I need more time. No, I am not comfortable deciding this way. A clean no does not need decorations. It is a fence, not a parade float. A slow yes is often more trustworthy than a fast yes. A slow yes has checked the map, counted the exits, looked under the emotional rug, and returned with both shoes. A fast yes may simply be trying to escape pressure. After the pause, choose from your values, not from the adrenaline. Ask, does this fit my money, my time, my safety, my dignity, and my actual desire? If one answer screams no, listen to the scream. That is why the watches keep drifting behind us. Time is useful when it helps you organize reality. Time becomes suspicious when someone grabs it, shakes it in your face, and calls your panic intuition. Before answering, reset the body, feet on the floor. Unclench the jaw, exhale longer than you inhale. Wait 90 seconds if you can. The goal is not to become a statue. The goal is to stop negotiating from panic. A real deadline can answer 3 questions. Why now? What happens if not? And what evidence proves it? If they cannot answer, or they get angry that you asked, the clock may be cardboard. The full defense is 3 moves. Slow the room, ask for missing information, and make the decision after your nervous system has stopped ringing. That is not overthinking. That is not being difficult. That is ownership. So here is the diagnosis from Dr. Wiggle. If someone must rush you to keep you, sell you, bind you, or blame you, the rush may be the evidence. Subscribe for the next lesson, The Future Faking Trap.